Test Kitchen is one of the many powerful tools within the Chef toolbox, allowing code to be tested in isolation to reduce risk and increase efficiency. In this demonstration, an Ubuntu system will be deployed out of the Azure Marketplace. A compliance scan will be run to check the state of the new system. Then, a remediation cookbook will be tested, making necessary updates. A second compliance scan will be run to confirm the changes. And last, the environment will be decommissioned. Before we run Test Kitchen, there are a few prerequisites. A credentials file under the .azure directory must be present with subscription ID, client ID, client secret, and tenant ID to allow Test Kitchen to create a virtual machine instance in Azure. In addition, the kitchen.yaml file within the cookbook must be populated with information about the system and the environment. In our case, Azure with the subscription ID, the region we want to deploy the virtual machine, and the machine size. Transport username to specify we want the SSH connection to this new instance to use Chef Admin rather than the default root account. Verifier, which we'll use later when we run the compliance scan using inspec. Provisioner, which in this example is using Chef 0. And platform information, such as the marketplace image we want to deploy, the OS type, and the username and password to log into the instance. Finally, suites, which includes the run list with the cookbook and recipe name, and the custom compliance profile which will be obtained from the Automate server. Since we are using a compliance profile stored on the Automate server, we must run the inspec automate command to gain access to this profile. With everything in place, we can run kitchen create to launch a new instance in Azure. This process takes a minute or two to complete. When finished, we can verify that it's accessible by running the kitchen login with the credentials we set in the kitchen.yaml file. To check the compliance status of this new instance, we can run a scan from the Automate server using the same custom profile that was listed in the kitchen.yaml. To start, I'll create a new node and use the credentials I previously added. Then, create a new scan using the My Ubuntu profile, give it a name, and click Save. This will take a couple minutes to run, and we can see there are 38 failed controls and 101 passed. Now, going back to VS Code, we can review this remediation cookbook, which is a progress curated cookbook made available through Chef Premium content. This cookbook consists of a single recipe that leverages attributes, Ruby scripts, and shell scripts, all based on the Center for Internet Security Certified Benchmark recommendations. Using Kitchen Converge, the cookbook will be run to make the necessary updates to help bring this system under compliance. This will take a few minutes to run through all the embedded scripts, but once complete, we can run a Kitchen Verify to check the compliance of the system now that the cookbook and recipe has made the necessary updates. And from this output, we see all 139 controls have now passed. And if we were to run that scan again in Chef Automate, we can confirm the same. The last step, after the successful testing of our code, is to run a kitchen destroy to delete the instance from the Azure subscription. Visit chef.io to learn more about how you can use Test Kitchen to deliver a test-driven development approach.